All right, we're back, and it's been quite a while since I did a video. But I came home the other night from work, and this was just sitting in front of my shop with a note on it saying, "You can have it. Carb issues possibly." So what we got here, it's an old Honda. I think it's an 18-inch push mower. It's got an all plastic deck. I checked underneath, and it's 100% plastic. So the first thing I noticed is I was looking at the exhaust and the head here, and it appears to be a two-stroke. I haven't even tried to fire it up yet, but I checked the oil. There's oil in it. I noticed that the cable, there's no cable on it. So I went ahead and disconnected. Where in the hell is it now? I ended up disconnecting this wire because since the cable's missing, if this wire's connected, it won't fire. So I decided to disconnect it. We'll put some starting fluid in it and fire it up. If anyone knows anything about these, don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. But we're gonna take the air filter cover off, put a little bit of ether in there, and see if it starts. So we're gonna go ahead, give it a shot of that ether and see if it'll fire up, and then we'll know where to go from there. If it starts up, chances are it's probably just a carb problem, but we'll look into that. Alright, so it does fire up, and I noticed that the whole entire engine's loose. I don't know if you can see that in there. And that's why it's making the knocking sound. So we'll get all that tightened up. Since there isn't a cable for it, for the shutoff, I am probably just going to wire in a switch, an on and off switch, because for one, it's cheap. I got switches laying everywhere, and last night, when I noticed that it didn't have the cable, I looked it up, and to find a cable for this mower is not easy. I don't know how old this thing is at all. So I'm gonna probably do a couple part segment on this, but I'd like to do a complete segment on a complete series or whatever on getting this up and running and all cleaned up. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so we're going to begin tear down on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the pole starter off, take this top off. There's two bolts right here and there, and well, nuts I should say. After you remove them, this whole top part should come off, and then usually the carburetor slides right out. I did notice on this one that there's an on and off for your fuel right there. And then just pay attention to where all the springs go. I did notice that this one is missing the nut on top, which we'll replace that when we put it back. So we'll get that all tore down. And the bolts that were on the top, I don't believe that are, or the nuts on top, I believe are not the ones that are supposed to be in there. But that pulls off. We're gonna take these ones off next. That's an 8mm. And then that just slides out. This is one of your breather hoses, and it looks like it needs replaced. And we'll do that while we're at it. And we'll see if this will just slide off. So make sure you unhook everything, slide everything out. Each one of these models are different, so sometimes you can pull them off completely and then disconnect these. Sometimes you gotta disconnect them first. So We'll have a look under here. So that's pretty much all there is to it. There's not a whole lot. So we'll get this hose disconnected, get this whole top off of it, and then everything will be out in the open. And it'll give me time to clean up the flywheel, clean up the ignition coil. It fires anyway, but if I'm gonna sell this, I want everything nice and clean. So we'll get the carburetor off here and get it cleaned. All right, so we'll pull the fuel line off, and you're probably gonna get some fuel that spills out, but that's fine. All right, so we'll get this whole top out of the way. Okay, now that the fuel tank's removed, we can remove this carburetor. These can be tricky to remove sometimes. That top one's done. This bottom one should pop right out. And then we got the spring. Try not to mutilate it getting it out. Pair of needle nose come in handy for this. And that's it. Carburetor's off. We will get this all cleaned up. So you have your spacers up here. You can just go ahead and remove those. Put them in your little tray. I've been doing this for so long that I don't really have to remember where a lot of the stuff goes. So that's always good. Next, what we're gonna do while we have it apart is we're gonna remove your ignition coil. It's gonna be this bolt here, and then this one up here. I'm gonna spray these down and let them soak for just a little bit. Now that kill switch that we removed earlier, right here's your kill switch. Right there's your plug. It plugs into this. We're gonna end up putting a switch in and bypassing that completely, like a regular on and off switch. So I don't have to worry about ordering a cable. It's real simple to do. I'd like to try to get that on video as well. Here's your brake. I probably won't be hooking up the brake. I've done this on several mowers and it still seems to do just fine. Once you kill power to the engine, the blade stops anyway. So I don't really see an issue with that. You got your gaskets here. I usually just leave them in place. Before I put the carb on, I'll snug everything, make sure everything's tight. All right, we're gonna go ahead and remove these. These are both 10 millimeters. You can tell it's never been taken apart before. Okay. You're gonna wanna unplug your spark plug wire. This rubber grommet's shot, so we'll see what we can do about that. There's a little clip in there holding it. That's off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grind away all the rust. What I like to use is a Dremel with, you can either use a wire wheel or you can use a flapper sander disc thingy. I prefer the little sander because it's not harsh on the metal or nothing. You want to clean these up because these are your point of contact as well. And like I was saying earlier about the engine being loose, so we'll get under there and tighten that up as well, but we'll do the carburetor first. This is probably going to be, I'm gonna keep this intact I'm not going to take it off or nothing. It's not hurting anything, just staying there. So this is probably going to end my first segment. The next segment we'll be doing is the carburetor cleaning and then installation. We'll do the carburetor cleaning and we'll do the ignition coil cleaning and then put them back together, tighten up this engine, and then go from there, clean everything up all nice and neat. So any questions or comments, let me know down below, and stay tuned for the next segment.